Hello. So sorry, I'm just cleaning my glasses, which are filthy. I can't even see through them. So hang on. Right, are you there? Hello, you are there. So I'm here, you're there. Welcome, welcome. So it's happy Wednesday afternoon for me. For you, it could be morning, lunchtime, afternoon, or evening, I suppose. So if you're at the end of the day, I hope you've had a good day, productive, useful, feeling good about yourself. It's the beginning of your day. Good morning. Don't you want to start your day with me? I hope you have your coffee in hand and you are ready to go. I hope your day is more productive than mine. Today was just a complete write-off. Do you ever have days where you have big plans for all of the things that you're going to do and somehow you achieve none of them? So I am definitely in the complete failure to launch category today. So please let me know if any of you are in the complete failure to launch category, and then I won't feel quite so bad and inadequate about myself today. Right. So I'm looking a bit pale and pasty. Not liking this look. Let me just turn down the light here a bit. That might be a cause. There we go. That might help. It might not. We have we have somebody from LinkedIn, Manjari, welcome. LinkedIn hasn't worked for such a long time. I've been moaning at StreamYard, who are my service provider here, about why it hasn't worked. So I'm delighted to see you, Manjari, but not because then they're just going to tell me it works, even though it hasn't for the past 3 weeks. But there we go. There we go. So, right. As I said, it's Wednesday. Let's get going. I am just going to apologize. I look a bit shocking. I bought this new makeup online. I'm sure lots of you won't care about this, so I hope I don't lose too many viewers. I bought this thing, right? I was looking on Facebook. I'm a sucker for Facebook ads. And they said you could do this kind of online thing where you look at pictures and you say, yes, this is my skin color. And they work out what your skin color is and the tone that you should be using. And so I did that and everyone says it's great. Disaster. I look like, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I look like one of those little Oompa Loompas with the orangeness of my face. So if you don't know what an Oompa Loompa is from the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Google it, man. It'll give you a good laugh. I look just like one of them, and I'm about as tall as one of them as well. So I might just keep it for the next Halloween we have. Right, so whilst we wait for a few more people to join, we're looking good. I would just love for you all to say hello to me. It's important that I know who you are and where you're from, because this is what this is all about. It's all about you. The Amazon Interview Whiz is all about you and has been from the start. So why don't we just say a couple of hellos? Please let me know where you're coming in from. I can see a few people that I recognize. So we've got, Madazard Trainer. So I recognize you. So welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I love seeing people come back. It means I am good at what I do. Taryn, welcome back. How are you doing? Dave Hutton, good morning. As I said, Manjari, delighted to have you here joining us from LinkedIn. Seo's back. Hey, Seo. Seo's in Ireland. I definitely remember that, Seo. So you don't have to tell me where you're coming in from. But it'd be good if I could know where Dave Hutton's coming from. Dave, I don't recognize you. Taryn, I know you're coming in from US. Hopefully not Canada, because then I would have really offended you. Madassa Trainer, let me know where you're coming in from. Jasir, Jasir's back. Hey, Jasir, good to see you again. Thank you for coming back. We've got Chris Middenhall from MI USA. Detroit MI, right. So MI is Michigan. I really need to study up on my US things. I'm not so good at them, but thank you for the MI Michigan. We've got Indiana, cool. Oh, Taryn, of course you're from Scotland. Oh, I did the whole thing for you last time, didn't I? Oh, I'm embarrassed that I didn't remember that, Taryn. Sorry, Taryn. Taryn. That's right. And Mumbai. Cool, Mumbai. Awesome. Right, so Let me do my intro bit. I'm sorry, Jasir, Taryn, a couple of you all have been through it before. We've got, someone from the Bay Area in California. Sumit, welcome. I bet your weather's, actually I was gonna say, I bet your weather's a lot nicer than mine, but it's not. It's been a glorious day here in London. Okay, so let me say hello. And Ezra's back again. Loads of people back again. That's brilliant. And Nudge Edits, you're back as well. Oh, we're all friends here today. That's exciting. So I am Gigi and I am the Amazon interview whiz. I worked as a senior leader in Amazon for a number of years where I did a ton of interviewing, and most specifically for you guys, I was a bar raiser. Now, the difference between a bar raiser and say a recruiter or a kind of standard Amazonian that does interviewing is if you're a recruiter or a standard interviewer, you tend to only interview within a very small kind of space. If you're a standard interviewer, you'll only interview for your own team, maybe some adjacent teams, so in your area of skill. If you're a recruiter, you're only going to interview the types of jobs that you're recruiting for. So let's say you're a product manager recruiter or an SDE recruiter. Those are the types of interviews that you do, and you tend to focus on your own locale. Bar raisers can do anything and go anywhere from an interviewing point of view. So I bar raised on tech and non-tech roles. I bar raised on all sorts of different job families, and I bar raised across the globe. So France, Spain, Italy, Turkey, Japan, US, obviously, Canada. So you get a perspective that pretty much no other interviewer other than bar raisers do in Amazon. I have hired hundreds of Amazonians, so I absolutely know what it takes to get hired at Amazon. Since leaving Amazon, I set up my own Amazon interview preparation gig. My mission is to make Amazon interview expertise like mine accessible to everybody. One-on-one interview coaching for Amazon interview preparation is very expensive, $200 plus, which is not especially affordable for most people. So I figured I could use digital to make my type of expertise much more accessible and inclusive. So I have obviously my YouTube channel where the majority of you are joining us from. I post content daily, twice daily on LinkedIn. And I have my own Amazon Interview Whiz Academy where I offer digital courses that are pretty much everything you need to know to slam your interview at Amazon at 90% of the cost it would take you to get the same information from a coach. So with that said, this is obviously part of what I do, which is my free coaching service. So the way this works is I will ask you to ask me your questions down the comment section here. I will try and pick questions that I think are useful for the majority of people. I can pretty much answer most questions, but I won't be able to answer very specific technical questions. So if you have a specific job family and you want to know what exactly you're going to be asked, I'm not going to be able to cover that off. There are hundreds of job families in the Amazon ecosystem. There's no way one person knows that. If you want me to tell you exactly what the key leadership principles are for your particular role, I'm not going to be able to tell you that either because they're very specific at an individual role level. But I will try and answer everything that I can. I'm absolutely an expert on the leadership principles, interview strategy, process, etc. So all of that I will cover off for you. What I will ask in return for my contribution to you is that you please do like this stream. It really makes a difference to the algorithm. The algorithm is a real challenge to get through. And if you people aren't liking the content and viewing the content, my content won't be made visible, and other people like you who could do with some support with my level of expertise won't see it. So please, in return for what I'm doing for you, please do like the stream. Okay, let's get going. I'm going to pick a couple of questions. I'm going to go back to the top. Do hang on till the end. If you haven't been here before, I give away an amazing freebie at the end of this session that I promise you will get use of. So do hang around until the end for that. Right, let's get going. So, yeah, okay. So, Mudassar Trainer, can you please go check out my YouTube channel? In my YouTube channel, there is an interview with an incredible software development leader who now works at Facebook, but spent over 10 years working at Amazon. He is Vivek, and he did a whole interview with me. We went deep, deep, deep into the software development interview side of things. He gave his expertise in terms of what you need to prepare and how you need to prepare it and what really matters from the behavioral side. So please do go check out that video. It also comes with a free download, so you can download a PDF as well. So that will give you pretty much everything that you need to know. So head over and get that. Okay, Taryn, yes, I have got a video on that. Well done. Okay. Yeah, here we go, Taryn. So you've got a HireVue virtual interview. Yes, quite a few people are doing those nowadays, which is interesting. I've not been through it myself, but I do know of it. Do you need to use the full 3 minutes to answer, or can you end in 1 minute? So I've never actually physically done it myself, Taryn. My expectation is that you can talk for as long as you need to talk, up to the maximum of 3 minutes. So I'm going to assume that you can choose from 3 seconds to 3 minutes, and that at some point you can probably end the answer. But I've not physically used it myself, but I wouldn't expect that any tool would force you to talk for a specific length of time. Good luck. Okay, moving on then. What else do we have? Yeah, quick. I'll answer this quickly, just in. No, a recruiter cannot refer their own candidates. So a referral in Amazon is a very specific thing. It is you vouching for someone else, and if they get a job, you get a cash bonus as a result. So there's no way a recruiter can refer someone for their own role, because they would then win twice. They would get a cash bonus if the person gets the role, and then of course they would get the benefit of having hit in their own targets. So no, a recruiter cannot refer their own candidates. And in the same way, someone who's hiring for a role can't refer their own candidates. They can say, I think this person's good, but that's not necessarily a referral. If you're talking about a technical referral, no, they can't do it. Okay, moving on then. Okay, so you've got the final interview tomorrow. You think it's the bar raiser. Finally, after 15 to 20 days. Are you saying there was a 15 to 20 day gap between your other panelists and your final one? If so, that's really poor show, but okay, let's go with it. Does the bar raiser can be technical? Yes. Usually if you are interviewing for a technical role, your bar raiser will come from the technical space. There are some exceptions to that. I have bar raised on technical roles, whereas my background is non-technical, but more often than not, your bar raiser will come from the technical space. Can you say no to any of the answers politely? I can't imagine a scenario where saying no makes any sense. You're either going to be given a technical challenge, and you definitely can't say no to doing that technical challenge, and you're going to be asked a question. Tell me a time when. So you can't exactly say, no, I'm not going to tell you a time when. What you can do is, if you don't have a good example to fit the question that you've been asked, what you can do is either ask the interviewer whether you can give them a slightly different example that you think kind of fits, but not quite. Give them like 3 lines to explain the example, and then give them the option as to whether they want you to continue. Or you can simply say, I'm really sorry, I don't have a good example for that question. Rather than waste your time and my opportunity, could you ask me another question, please? So a straight no doesn't make a lot of sense contextually, but those 2 other things are your options. Okay, moving on then. Hey, the epic turkey. I just love that. That's so cool. So your question is, do I have any tips on connecting the questions to the leadership principles? Some are quite ambiguous. They are. I mean, the start point has to be really, really, really understanding the leadership principles. And the leadership principles have lots of different facets to them. You need to really, really sit, read the explanation in great detail, break down the explanation so that you can really anticipate. Sorry, that's a reminder on my phone to send my son to his cadets. So that you can really understand what those different facets are of the leadership principles. When I say facets, the freebie that I'll give you at the end of the session will help explain what I mean by facets. Once you really, really understand those different facets of the leadership principles, then the question and quite which of those leadership principles the question is connecting to becomes much, much clearer. There are some that have got cues in them that would help you kind of get it. So, for example, risk. If someone talks about risks, likelihood is they're talking to you about bias for action or are right a lot. If someone talks to you about achieving goals or delivering, clearly that's deliver results. But having tried it myself to work through all the different leadership principles and the questions associated with them and trying to find trigger words, it doesn't work consistently for all of them. For a few, yes, but not for all of them. So the epic therapy, the only suggestion I can make is to really, really, really dive deep into those leadership principles. Once you really understand them, it will feel quite clear what most of the questions are leaning towards. My suggestion to people in general is don't try and guess the leadership principles, because quite often what happens is you guess wrong and then you give the interviewer a whole answer that doesn't actually answer the question that they asked you in the first place. And I hear this complaint from interviewers all the time because that candidates haven't answered their question. So my suggestion is you answer the question. The whole point of your preparation is to prepare different examples for the different leadership principles. If you understand the facets, you can have an example per facet. Every single question that you're likely to be asked is going to link in one way or another with a facet. So if you've got that bank of facets in your mental Rolodex or on a piece of paper or wherever it is, when you're asked a question, you'll hopefully be able to connect the question to the example, and you cut out the middle bit, which is the leadership principle. You use leadership principles to create your examples. Somebody uses the leadership principle to create questions, and the two should connect across that kind of horizontal line. That's my best advice for you. I hope it was helpful. Okay. Do I think it would be a problem using the same question at the end of each interview in your final round if it's about their advice or experience? Yeah, no, Spencer, that's fine, Spencer. Oh, you're back, Spencer. I just realized that. That's fine. Yeah, ask the same question. Like, what you use your question time for is your choice. I am not an advocate for using question time to try and impress the interviewer and tell them stuff that they didn't ask you, but you really want them to know. You should use question time, as far as I'm concerned, to gather all of the data that you need to make a really good decision as to whether that job, that hiring manager, or indeed Amazon is the place that you want to work. So very often a great strategy is to ask all of the interviewers exactly the same question, because you get multiple perspectives on the same thing, and having multiple data points to draw a conclusion on something, as we will all know as data literate people, is the very, very best way to get to a very clear and accurate answer. So Spencer, go for it. I also ask the same question to everybody through my interviews, and I use that data triangulation to effectively paint a broad picture. So that's the right strategy, Spencer. No problem. Okay. Ooh, sorry, big jump, lost control. At least my mouse has battery in it. Anyone that was here on Monday, my mouse was running out of battery. I have a wireless one, and it was a nightmare trying to control everything. So I have now powered it up, which is, I suppose, a sensible thing to do. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Beauteous every day. Not only do you have my absolute favorite name of all time, but you got an offer. I'm so happy. Congratulations. Oh, you call me a beautiful soul. I think I am going to cry. Oh, that's really touching. Sorry, everybody. You probably don't know this, but I'm actually quite an emotional person, and Beauteous every day. Can you email me separately or come and find me on LinkedIn? I would just love to have a quick exchange with you. That really means so much to me. Thank you. And I'm so delighted for you. Congratulations. I promise you that working at Amazon will change your life. No matter how long or short you work there, you will learn things that you will never learn anywhere else. You will develop skills that you would never have built up in as fast a time frame. You will think in ways that you would never have thought otherwise. I promise you, it will be life-changing. Congratulations, and I am privileged to have been able to support you in achieving your goal. Please contact me separately. Oh, so sweet. Okay. Oh, Chris. Oh, yeah. Stop. Yeah. Pat myself on the back here. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Very grateful. Right. Come on. Let me answer some questions instead of allowing myself to blow my own trumpet. Right. Yeah. Hey, RK. So, do they ask you to introduce yourself in all 5 to 6 interviews? Good question, RK. So there's no mandatory way to open an interview at Amazon. It's pretty much left up to the interviewer as to how they like to do it. So some will ask you to walk them through your resume. Some will ask you, why do you want this role? They'll ask you random different questions. So it's very likely that they're going to try and create some kind of a warm up. You know, you can't just sit down in a room with you don't sit down in a room anymore. It's all virtual. You can't just meet someone over a video and say, right, let's get going. Tell me about a time when They're definitely going to want to introduce themselves and ask you at least a little question to help them warm up. So yes, you can expect someone to create a warm up, but everybody won't be consistently saying, so walk me through your resume, or so tell me why you're here, or so why Amazon. It is going to change up. So just be prepared for potential diverse questions. But they are warm-ups, right? If you're all the way at Loop, talking through your resume is not going to get you the job, however you respond to it. If you're at Loop, explaining why it is you want that job is not going to make a difference to the decision that's made. At Loop, the decision will all be based on either your technical skills or your answers to the behavioral questions. So, don't overthink those introductory questions at Loop. Okay, let's move on. Okay. All right, nudge edits. All right, I'll cover this one off. So there isn't a best type of question, nudge edits. You just have to ask the question that matters to you. So in my interview, as an example, when I was interviewing at Amazon all those years ago, what really mattered to me was the manager. To me, who I work for is a really, really top priority. So I asked all of the people on the Loop what it was like to work with my manager. I asked them questions about the tools that they worked with, because as a marketer, tools are really important. So I asked everyone about tools, because if you have rubbish tools as a marketer, there's a jack all you can really do. So I can't give you best suggestions for questions, because it really is about what you care the most about in the data that you gather to make the decision as to whether you want to work at Amazon or not. So think, nudge edits, about what matters most to you when you choose a job, and then work backwards from there to come up with the best set of questions for you. I hope that helps. Okay, let's move on. Yeah. All right. The epic turkey. Is it okay to ask the interviewer for another question one time each round of the final loop? No, I wouldn't suggest you do that. So it is okay to ask for another question once, maybe twice. But if you're repeatedly asking for another question, it kind of throws up red flags that you don't have a really strong bank of high-performing examples in your history. If you're constantly saying, I don't have a good example for that, could I have another question, please? People are going to start to get worried that you just don't have the range that they're looking for. So yes, ask for another question if you have to, but I really wouldn't recommend doing it more than once or twice across the loop. I hope that helps. Okay. Hey, Dave. So you have an Ops Tech IT Manager role interview coming up in 2 weeks. What should you be doing between now and then to give you the best chance of success? Okay, so Dave, because I don't know the exact details of every single job family and exactly what technical tests are done for each job family, because there are many, many hundreds of them, I can't tell you from a technical point of view what you should be preparing for that. But aside from that, everybody gets interviewed using the leadership principles and asked behavioral questions. So these are the things that I think you should be doing. You said you've passed phone screens, right? So you're now onto loop. So you're onto loop. So really it's about the meat of it, the behavioral questions that you will be asked. So Dave, step number 1, dive into your job description. Pick it apart line by line by line. If you want an example of how to do that, I do have a video of my channel where I demonstrated that live. Woo! That was a risky live session. Go back and look at that because that will demonstrate for you exactly how to deconstruct and pick through a job description to find the language that connects to leadership principles. So that's your first thing that you should do as soon as you get off this stream from me now. Get your job description and pick it apart. Once you've picked it apart, you're then going to know what the key leadership principles are. If you don't really understand the leadership principles yet, I'm assuming you do, otherwise you wouldn't have made it through phone screens. But the next step is going to be really understand those leadership principles and the behaviors associated with those leadership principles. The next thing you need to do, and I think I've got a video that I'm going to release on this step-by-step guide in the next couple of weeks. The next thing you need to do then is review the examples that you created first time round. Anything that you didn't use, go back to it and make sure that you really have got all of the behaviors that you think you're going to need to demonstrate for those leadership principles articulated in your STAR-E. I advocate STAR-E, not STAR. If you don't know what I mean by that, do check out my video that talks about the hidden Amazon leadership principle. In your STAR model, STAR-E, make sure those behaviors are in there. Then the next thing I'm going to tell you to do, Dave, is take the examples that you used in the early rounds. I'm going to assume that they're your strongest examples. Take those and find another way of articulating those against different leadership principles, because you're probably going to want to bring them back again if they're your strongest and you don't have a bank big enough to cover off everything fresh. That's my suggestion, that you really spend your time, if technical stuff aside, Dave, that you spend your time really diving into those leadership principles. And then, of course, in line with everybody else that we've just talked about in terms of the questions, I think asking questions is a very important part of the interview process, not because it's going to allow you to be hired, but because it's really important data for you to make a decision as to whether you want to join Amazon or not. Some people, believe it or not, get an offer and decide not to join Amazon. You might be one of them. So spend time really thinking about the questions that you want to ask your interviewers at the end. Make sure you check out your interviewers on LinkedIn. Who are they? What's their job title? So you can get a sense of what part of the business that they're in. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's my tip. So once you've done that, practice. Practice your STAR examples, record yourself, play yourself back, check out how you sound, check out the things that you miss. All those types of kind of practice models is really good. Practice with somebody else. Get someone to do a mock interview with you. Doesn't have to be a professional like me. You can just get a friend to do it, but it's a good exercise to practice answering a question for somebody and letting them interrupt you and ask you follow-up questions. Okay, that was quite a lot, Dave. So this is going to go on my live stream bank in YouTube. So if you want to, you can always go and check it out again later. But right now, as soon as you get off this, don't get off this until it's finished. Go deep dive again on your job description. Okay. Andrew, I doubt this statement. I doubt this statement very much. So you've got an interview for an account manager, besides my top LPs, what can I recommend? Well, I can't recommend anything specifically because every single job has different key leadership principles that they want. Even account managers will have different key leadership principles depending on the team. If it's a very nascent team, the key leadership principles will be very different to if it's a very mature team. You say the JD doesn't have any LP verbiage. I would be shocked if that was the case. It might just be that I'm much more familiar with that verbiage in the LPs that I could pick them out in maybe the way you can't. But even software development engineer job descriptions have LP verbiage in them, and they're mainly being hired for their coding skills. So Andrew, go back and check again, line by line by line, and you may be surprised. I can help you if you'd like me to. I do offer a service where I will review your job description for you. It does come with a charge, but if you are interested in that, you can always get in touch with me and I can link you to the site where you can have a look at that charge. Okay, moving on. Yeah, okay, Stefano. So do I know where you could find writing assessment examples? No, I don't know anywhere where there are writing assessment examples that I would stand behind. I've seen some websites that I've read and thought, oh my God, I hope no one follows that advice. So I'm not going to send you there. But if your core question is, can you use titles? Yes. Can you use bullets? No. Don't use bullets. Amazon, well, I think there's actually an intro when you get sent the instructions for the written sample that says don't use bullets. That may have changed, but I'm pretty sure it says that. Don't do bullets. Amazon documents don't include bullets. Amazon documents are long form paragraph sentences, and that's why they're testing your writing sample, because they want to know if you come into Amazon, do you have a good enough standard of capability of writing to be able to write? Every decision in Amazon is made based on someone having written a document. So yes, use titles, don't use bullets. Okay, moving on then. Let me just get rid of this reminder. Blocking my view. So I've had a Mac now for like 9 months, I think, having always had Windows laptops, and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. Is there any amazing Mac users out there? Is there anywhere you can send me for the best kind of Mac tips? That would be great. Okay, moving on then. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can find anybody new. There are some more questions that I might come back to, but I want to see if I can give other people a bit of an opportunity. Ah, okay. Hey, Black Eagle. So you're an Amazonian. Welcome, welcome. All right. So you've a phone interview on Friday for an internal job. You've already had the coffee chat with the hiring manager. Do you think he will go into leadership principles right away? Yes, I do, Black Eagle. If you've already had the basic, do you tick the basics of the boxes of what I'm looking for my hire, then yes, I would fully expect this is an interview and you're the hiring manager. If you're having the interview with the hiring manager, I would fully expect them to go into a proper interview process with you. So be prepared. I'm sure you know the LPs inside out and back to front at this stage. Okay. Okay. Let me there was one back up here. Okay, right. So you've already been asked, so Nudge Edits, we're back with you. You've been asked a whole bunch of leadership principles already. Can you expect them again? I can't give you the top LPs for data engineer because, as I said earlier, they'll be completely different depending on which team the data engineer role is for. So I can't do that bit. But if you've already been asked 5 to 6 LPs, can you expect them again? Yes, I would suggest you can expect them again. Firstly, there are 16 leadership principles. Once you're in a loop, then you've got maybe 5 interviewers. So you've got 10. If they all went kind of virgin LPs, then I guess mathematically speaking, you could end up never answering one of those 5 or 6 again. But Usually, the leadership principles that you are asked in the early rounds are the most important leadership principles. They ask them early on so they can get a sense of whether you are likely to be bar raising in those leadership principles. Because if you aren't, it's better to get rid of you. Sorry, it's a bit blunt, but it's better to move you out of the process if it doesn't look like you're going to be able to raise the bar on the key leadership principles earlier rather than later, because it's a waste of everybody's time if you get all the way through the interview process in a role that dive deep is incredibly important in, and suddenly people discover all the way at the end that you aren't bar raising on dive deep. So if I were you, Nudge Edit, I would be preparing to get more questions on those 5 to 6 leadership principles and to have some fresh examples available. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have? Hey, Epic Turkey. Okay. Is it bad to repeat examples through rounds? Yeah, so you're saying it's junior. So the more junior that you are, the more permission, tacit permission you have to repeat. You don't have tons and tons of career history behind you to come up with new and fresh examples. Your interviewers know that. So if it's a junior role, I wouldn't be too worried about repeating your examples a few times. If I was interviewing kind of L5s, L4s, I would be pretty comfortable with seeing repeats 4 or 5 times. If I was interviewing L7s, more than 1, maybe 2 repeats, and I'd be starting to get nervous. So it really does depend materially, depending on what level of job you're applying for. If it's a pretty junior one, then you'll be fine, Epic Turkey. Just make sure when you repeat them that you really do lean into different leadership principles. So make sure the examples that you repeat are really rich and meaty ones. And when you talk about them for the different questions, really lean into different leadership principle aspects of that example. I do demo how you can do this on my interview preparation masterclass. If you want to go and check that out, you can. I'll give you the link to my Amazon Interviewers Academy at the end of this, and then maybe you can decide if that's something that might add value to you. Okay. Sumit. Good question, Sumit. Oh, and a lovely water lily as well. How pretty. Would the interviewer ask any follow-up questions on writing exercises during the loop? Yes, it is possible. Now, in my experience, it isn't common because the purpose of the writing exercise is usually to be a writing exercise, to check that you can string a sentence together. But sometimes interviewers do have a look at it and decide they want to ask you some follow-up questions. Now, the only people who are obligated to read your writing example are the hiring manager and the bar raiser. They must read your writing sample. The other people on the loop don't have to read your writing sample, but they do get access to it if they decide they want to. So it is very possible that somebody will ask you follow-up questions on your writing example. It has happened. I don't find it is extremely common, but it does happen. Okie dokie. Let's see. Oh, Samesh is back. Hey, Samesh, how you doing? How you doing? Oh, Edwin, you got a role. Oh, this is turning out to be a great day. I wasn't so sure about it earlier on. It was a very unproductive day. Edwin, thank you for letting me know. I'm so excited. Congratulations. Any tips on salary negotiation? Yes, Edwin, I do have a tip on salary negotiation. First of all, my tip is talk about salary expectations at the very beginning of the interview process. So if any of you have not yet done that and you are going into your first or your second interviews with Amazon, have a conversation with your recruiter about salary expectations. Ask them what the salary range is on that role. Make sure you do your homework. Levels.fyi, salary.com. Do your homework for your role type and the country/locale that you are interviewing for. So make sure that you know what the expectation should be at market rate. So that's tip number 1. Bit late for you, Edwin. Then you'll know what the range is. When you get to Edwin's end of the world and you're about to go in for hard salary negotiation, Edwin, first thing, have in your mind what you really, really want. Have in your mind what you're willing to accept. What is your bottom line? And if you don't get it, you'll walk away. Stick to those, right? Or you could be like, with the whole thing. Discipline yourself to stick with those. If you don't get an offer that meets what you really, really want, or is a long way from what you really, really want, where the best place to negotiate, in my point of view, is on RSUs. So the stock options that they're going to give you as part of your offer. Amazon is usually much more flexible in terms of the RSUs than they are about base or sign-on bonus. Okay. So that's where I would be suggesting that you push if you want to negotiate on your salary. Usually Amazon stock goes up. Generally, in the long term, Amazon stock goes up. So every $1 worth of Amazon stock that you get this year is probably going to be worth more next year. Every $1 that you get in base this year is going to be worth less next year because of inflation. That's basic economics. So that would be my tip. I would also say, go check out the YouTube playlist of Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. She's an Amazonian. She's a good friend of mine. She's a recruiter. She also has an awesome YouTube channel as well. You can find the link to her in my featured channels list on my YouTube channel. Go there. She's got a great list there about playlist on salary negotiation with loads of top tips. So go check that one out before you speak to your recruiter, Edwin. Congrats again. Good luck. Okay. Oh, Laura, I hate these messages. Oh, Laura. Oh, this makes me mad. So at this point, Laura, if you haven't heard anything from your recruiter and you're emailing and they're ignoring you, I would go to the hiring manager if it was me. You've met them, right? You met them in the loop. And so you should know their name. Contact them and explain to them that you haven't heard from your recruiter, that you did have an appointment booked with them and they didn't meet that appointment. Could they please help you get some communication going with the recruiter so that you can understand the outcome of your loop? It's really shocking when this happens. It seems to be quite bad at the moment. I know they're badly under-resourced, which is a real challenge, but there's kind of no excuse for it. Sorry, recruiters, you know I love you, but this is bad. So yeah, go to the hiring manager, Laura. That's what I would do. And then they can take ownership of kicking the recruiter up the bum and getting them to contact you. Similar question from Victor. So it's 6 days versus the 5 SLA. So Victor, I'd give it one more day, and then reach out to your recruiter. Okay. What else can we have? Hey, Shin. So you've got a second phone interview with a hiring manager next week. Can it be turned out video? Do you mean off? During the recruiter interview, she said it would be video, but the confirmation email says phone. Yeah, so sometimes the language on these things, I haven't quite caught up because they're templates. They haven't quite caught up with the technology that's been used at the moment. The vast majority of people are going to be having their interviews over Chime, which is video. So my assumption is that it will be a Chime interview rather than them phoning you on your mobile phone number. You should get clarity how you're going to be communicating. So do check with your recruiter whether you're expected to follow the Chime link or if someone's going to be calling you on your phone, your mobile phone, whatever it is. Now, if you don't want to use video on Chime, you can ask not to. There are plenty of people who just aren't in the kind of environment where using video is really useful. If you've got stuff going on behind you, if you've got someone else working behind you or kids or whatever it is, sometimes it just doesn't work to have video. So if you do have a really good reason to not want to do video, just mention it to your recruiter and they will be flexible. Okay. Oh, Stumble and Gallivant's back. Hey, Stumble and Gallivant. Right. So I'm just going to do a time check. At this point, everybody, I'm going to do something I don't usually do, but I'm going to ask you to like the stream, please. So right now, please like the stream, and hopefully that will mean it will boost in terms of the algorithm, because we need it, right? Other people are getting jobs by listening to my content. I know you want to help other people because you're good human beings. So right now, I'm going to be silent for maybe I shouldn't be silent, because then you'll disappear off and think Gigi's lost her mind. But right now, please like the stream, like the stream, like the stream. And if you're listening from home, oh, you're all from home. If you're on the replay, like the stream, like the stream. Okay. Look, I got to entertain myself somehow, people. I'm in this room on my own all day. You're like the only people I talk to, and you're not even talking back. Okay, Jasir, would it be appropriate to reschedule the interview multiple times? I do get this question quite a lot. So here is my view on it. Oh, I was about to swear there. I'm glad I caught myself. Or YouTube would have blocked this. I was about to swear. So sugar happens in life, Jasir. And sometimes you do need to reschedule. And your recruiter and Amazon, they understand that. Rescheduling once, cool, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Rescheduling twice, you got to have a good reason. Got to have a good reason. Rescheduling 3 times, then as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, I'm probably starting to get a little bit irritated, because I've reorganized my diary so that I can fit you into my very busy Amazon working day. And if you keep canceling, then that keeps messing up my diary. So once, yeah, sugar happens. Twice, got to be really good reason. 3 times, no, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I know there are plenty of people who have rescheduled it more than 3 times, and it's been fine and all of those things. It doesn't mean to say there isn't an exception, but as a general rule of thumb, I would say 2, all right, more than 2, it shows that you're just not in control. Okay. So let me see if I can find something else. I hope you have all liked the stream now. Okay. Okay, Laura. No, I don't think going to the hiring manager is going to put anybody off if it affects your salary negotiation. You are perfectly within your right, Laura, to get an answer. The SLA is for you to hear back within 5 working days. That's their SLA. And you've done everything that you can. You've politely emailed your recruiter and you're being stonewalled. So as long, Laura, as you are polite to your hiring manager and you say, I'm sorry to have to reach out to you, I didn't know where else to go, etc., please, could you help me get through to the recruiter? I'd really love to understand my outcome. I'm so excited about the role at Amazon. I would love to work for you. You will be fine, right? They've made the decision now anyway, Laura. So you're either going to be hired or you're not. And the salary negotiation happens with the recruiter. As long as you're polite about it, then you'll be fine. I take your point. Will the recruiter be annoyed? Probably not. Water off a duck's back. You'll never meet a bunch of thicker skinned people than recruiters. It's like the toughest job on the planet. They grow thick skins, but it's that recruiter's responsibility to get back to you. And it's on them if they haven't done it. So not on you. Okay. Okay, quickly there. So yeah, so levels.fyi may not cover Europe. I thought salary.com did cover the European region. So if those aren't the right websites for you, just Google Alptekin. Sorry if I've murdered that. Just Google kind of salary information websites and see what you can find. You can't really translate the dollar values into euros because, of course, there are different pay scales in different markets. So you're just going to need to find one that is relevant for your particular market. I'm sure I've used salary.com for the UK before, and sure, we're not Europe anymore, Brexit, but we were. So I'm sure there is something out there for Europe. Okay. Here we go, Ezra. No is the answer to that question. If you are interviewing for multiple roles, the outcome of one doesn't affect the outcome of another. They are mutually exclusive. How exciting that you've got that many possible roles available to you. That's super cool. Okay, what else do we have? So I'm coming close to the bottom here. So if there are any more questions, do not be embarrassed to ask. I will scroll back up and see if I've missed any. Okay, yeah. So Stefano, hello, Stefano. Do you know what level at AWS is a senior technical program manager? So broadly speaking, oh no, Taryn, Glassdoor's shocking. I'll tell you why Glassdoor's shocking in a minute, Taryn. Generally speaking, this is the way the nomenclature works for Amazon in Amazon roles. So if you are I'm going to use finance for lack of a better one. If it's a finance manager role, it'll be an L5. If you are a senior finance manager, it'll be an L6. If you are a senior manager finance, it'll be an L7. Actually, finance was a bad one because they have 6.5s. Pretend I never told you they had 6.5s. If you're a director finance, you're an L8. So generally that's the nomenclature. It's manager, senior something manager, senior manager something, director something. So a senior technical program manager is going to be an L6. Okay, right. Just quickly, you're invited for the virtual interview. Oh, you've made it through to Loop. Well done, Ashsan. Well done. You haven't asked for salary yet. Yeah, I would definitely, Ashsan, don't go all the way through Loop without knowing that this role is going to offer you the compensation that you want. I've had it happen before, not to one of my candidates because they wouldn't do that, but to family, friends, or people that have reached out to me after the process where they've gone through the whole thing only to discover that Amazon's salary range isn't what they need to live their daily lives. And it's just the most enormous waste of your time, your effort. It's the waste of Amazon's time and effort, which is why my mind is boggled why recruiters don't organically mention this at the very start. The good ones do. My mate Amy, she definitely does. And a whole bunch of others that I know and respect definitely do mention it at the beginning. I think it would save a lot of people time and effort and pain if everybody did it. But yeah, Ashan, as soon as you can, mention it to them. Make sure you've done your homework, okay? Right, Taryn, I'm going to just quickly share with you why Glassdoor is a really bad source because it is self-registered. So I go on and it asks me my salary. What am I earning? Well, my comp at Amazon comprised of my base and my RSUs. The value of my RSUs was very different in year one than the value of my RSUs were in I didn't get RSUs in year one, didn't kick in till year two, but than my RSUs in year 4. So my total comp changed enormously. And I get to decide when I put that data into Glassdoor, whether I include that information or whether I just do base, whether I do base plus my RSUs, whether I do base and bonus, whether I do base, bonus and RSUs. Because it's self-registered data, it is all over the place. So I would suggest you don't use Glassdoor because it's utterly inconsistent and lacks definition. So check out some of the more industry-based ones like the levels.fyi and the salary.com. Okay, sorry, Taryn, to shoot you in the foot there, but yeah, don't go there. All right. Do we have any more questions? Now, let me just scroll back up because I do know I skipped a couple because I wanted to get some fresh faces on the screen. So let me just go back and double check. If you think I missed your question and you want to ask it and it's not a very specific technical question or a question about tell me the key leadership principles on my job description, Gigi, if it's not one of those, please do remind me and post it again at the bottom. Okay. So Mohammed would like to know more about the writing sample at Amazon. Okay, well, that's a very open-ended question, Mohammed, but I'm glad to see you're wearing your cycle helmet. Well done. That makes me feel good about your safety. So No, I joke. So many people don't wear cycle helmets. I can't tell you. My husband's a firefighter, and I cannot tell you the things he's had to scrape up off the tarmac in his career. Wear a helmet, people. Okay, so can't tell you more about the writing sample because that's rather open-ended, but I will tell you that the writing sample is very important because any decision that's made at Amazon is made because someone sat down and wrote a 2-pager or a 6-pager. So the reason why you are asked for a writing sample is they are trying to understand, can you string a sentence together? Can you write well? So the purpose of the writing sample is to check whether you can do those things and whether you can do it in the way an Amazonian does. Mohammed, I have a very specific video on my YouTube channel all about the writing sample. I give you very, very clear and specific things that they're looking for and what you should do and what you should not do. So please do check out that video. You need to do it yourself. You really need to do it yourself. I do get lots of people asking me if I can help them with their writing sample. It's cheating. It's cheating. But it's also important that you learn how to document. If you go into Amazon and you really don't have the caliber of writing that is needed to succeed in Amazon, it's just a nightmare. It's just awful. It's awful for you. It's awful for your manager. So the writing sample, I think, is a really important part of the assessment. So do it yourself. Please check out my YouTube video and it will really help you in terms of what you should do and what you should not do. I promise you. So good luck with that. Okay, I'm going to skip back up. Are there any that I missed? Oh, we've had some new people join us. Welcome, welcome, new people who have joined us. It's good to see you. Only a few minutes left, but hey ho, glad to see you one way or another. Oh, I don't think there's much I missed, really. Okay. Sorry, I'm silent because I'm jumping through to see if there's anything I've really missed, but I don't think there is. So Rajkumar, I don't understand this question, to be honest with you, Rajkumar. How do you meet the commitment? That may just be a language thing, but I hope no one asked you that question. How do you meet the commitment? So do you want to maybe try that again in a different way? Because I'm not entirely clear how to answer that question for you. This is a good question, Victoria. Oh, I'm so pleased you asked that question, Victoria. So you're unsure about sharing success KPIs. They should have enough context, not only growth rates, but impact on business without revealing too much about your current employer. Any advice? Yes, so this is a tough one because this does happen quite a lot, Victoria. If you feel that those metrics are data points that your employer would really not want you to share, you either need to not tell the interviewer which of your employers those metrics are associated with. So instead of starting your example with, I'm going to tell you about a time where I was a senior manager in marketing for Amazon Prime Video, you might say, I'm going to tell you about a time when I was in a leading marketing role. I'm not going to tell you exactly with whom because I want to share with you some metrics and I need to make sure that they don't correlate straight back to the business, blah, 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 blah. Or what you can say to your interviewer is, when you get to your results, I can't give you the specific KPIs because I'm very cautious about the sensitivity of this data for my previous employer or my current employer. So I've converted these metrics into an alternative. So you might be able to say, Victoria, growth rate 5% year on year. Now, that's a very obtuse number, right? Growth rate from what? You could be from zero. You could have started on a baseline of $0 and your growth rate could be, the 5% year on year, or maybe it's $100 million. Telling somebody a growth rate of 5% year on year isn't commercially sensitive information because you don't actually have the fundamental metric, whether it's dollars or customers or whatever it is, or revenue rather than dollars. We're not all in the US. Clearly, I'm not. So you should be able to convert financially sensitive metrics into other types of metrics that can help you demonstrate your impact without revealing commercially sensitive information from your employer Or you can just not mention who the employer is, be a little bit obtuse about that, be clear why you're being obtuse about that, and then you can go all the way through to your result and give the very specific data points. I hope that's helpful. Okay, I am conscious that we are at time. So, yeah, okay. So Raju Kumar, right, okay, I asked you to be more clear, so I can't sign off without doing this. So you were asked how you meet the timeline. So that question completely lacks context. So I wouldn't know how to answer that question because it needs context. So if someone was to ask me, how do you meet your deadlines? Well, there's many different things that I do to meet my deadlines. You have a project plan, you have check-ins, you have status meetings, you have KPIs that you track, but it's an incredibly vague question, which is why I'm not at all surprised that it's not an Amazon question, because how the hell do you answer that question? So unfortunately, I would say that's an example of a very badly trained interviewer who doesn't know how to ask questions that bring useful data from it. So I'm sorry I can't answer that for you, because that's a bad question and one I would never ask and definitely would not expect any Amazonian to ask. All right, so before everybody disappears off, right, don't run away, because I did say I was going to give you an amazing freebie, and I promise you it is an amazing freebie. As the others have told you, my content's great. So please check out, I never get this right, AmazonInterviewWizAcademy.com. There you can get my Customer Obsession Masterclass completely free. I'm not asking you for email address. I'm not going to chase you with emails and try and upsell you to any other products. I will not do that. I give you it because obviously I want you to watch it and I want you to love it and I want you to buy more of my product because, hey, that's how I feed my children. But the reason why I give you the Customer Obsession Masterclass is because I was always going to give something away. And Customer Obsession is the one that I can guarantee those children, I'll bet their lives on it, that you will need if you get all the way through the Amazon interview process to a loop. At some point, you will all be asked about Customer Obsession. As I say, I could bet my children's life on it. So I give you the Customer Obsession Masterclass knowing that it will be the most valuable one to give everybody. So please go check it out. It explains to you the smack the glasses there, the 4 facets of customer obsession. Yes, customer obsession has 4 different facets in it. All of the leadership principles have at least 2 facets in them, but customer obsession has the most at 4. So we'll tell you about those facets so that you can work out the best examples to pick from your career history. It will tell you all about the behaviors that the interviewer is absolutely looking for in your answer. So when you've picked out your example from your career history, you can use that information to work out exactly what things you have to talk about in your starry example. And it will show you a mock interview where you can see me interviewing me with a customer obsession question. So you can get a sense of how to land that data in an interview and what your interview will be like if you haven't already had one. So on that note, let's say, please do check it out. I will not be chasing you for upsell. Please love it. I hope you do. Thank you very much for joining. There's been some brilliant questions today. For those of you who got jobs already, yeah. For those of you who have interviews coming up, I wish you the very best of luck. Please, everybody, when you get off, if you haven't already, like the video. It's your little gift back to me. All right, everybody, please be safe. The world continues to be completely bonkers, still a dangerous place. So take care of yourself, take care of your families, wash your hands, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.